Hi, I'm Alma. So good to see y'all's new faces. I'm just so happy to be back in Maryville. I'm from Maryville personally, and if y'all are from Maryville too, you might have heard of me, Alma Nash, but that's all right if you haven't. In fact, if you haven't heard of me, you might have heard of my father, Dr. George Nash. He had a surgical practice on Buchanan Street. I was always so proud of my father for doing something he loved and cared about while also helping the people of this community. But for me, the true passion in my life has always been music. I love the way it moves people and even changes minds. And I've seen it happen too, though I feel I'm getting a bit ahead of myself in my story. You see, I should start in 1910 when I gathered together a group of my students into the Missouri Ladies Military Band. We were the first all female band, not only in Missouri, but the entire country. Can you imagine that? An all female band in our little old Maryville. Well, we thought we were quite something of ourselves. And although we may not have been a professional musician group, I like to think that we played with as much gusto as any male musician. But we really became something of ourselves in 1912 when we were invited to the Maryville Nottoway County Fair. Oh, boy, did we get a standing ovation, giving everyone was standing as there was no chairs, but still, I like to think that the people enjoyed our performance. Although the true piece de resistance for our performance came in 1913. You see, NASA, that's the National American Women's Suffrage Association for y'all folks who might not know, was holding a grand parade in Washington, D.C. You see, the ladies at NASA were promoting women's suffrage not only in our nation's capital, but across the country. And when I heard that they were putting out a call for bands across the country to come and march in their parade, well, I knew that I and my ladies had to put in our application. And not only was it accepted by Miss Elizabeth Kent, she was the chairman of the association in charge of appointing bands at the time, not only did she say that she would be glad to have us in the parade, but that we would be the only all-female parade marching in the suffrage parade. Well, I was simply thrilled when our application was received, but there was a few issues with the Missouri Ladies Military Band marching in the parade. You see, we had no money for train fare or hotel or uniforms in which to make ourselves presentable to the public, no chaperone to keep the trip proper, and, well, most importantly, we had never marched before. We had never marched, period. We were a seated band, a concert band, if you will. And to make matters worse, when our application had been accepted, it was the end of January, and with the parade fast approaching on March the 3rd, we had exactly 1 month to get all of this settled. Well, I knew we had to do something, and with the helpful people of Maryville, as well as some local businesses, we were able to put together enough funds so that not a single lady in the band had to pay for train fare or hotel. And they even bought us some spiffy new uniforms. Oh, they were a beautiful navy blue color. Still reminisce when I first put mine on. And my mother Mary was accompanying us as our chaperone, always involved in my life, and always so grateful for her help, of course. Uh, then we began practicing to march, and well, we also had to practice marching inside. It was February in a Midwest winter at all, and one does not learn to march in wet stockings. Oh, I can tell you that. Well, finally, after much work and preparation, our long-awaited day of travel began, and on March 1st, we left our beloved Maryville behind and set off for Washington, D.C. When we got there the day before, we were ready. So excited and nervous, and the city was a hustling and a bustling, so busy with so many people, though not all of them were there for the parade. You see, the clever ladies at Nassau had strategically planned the date of the parade to be one day before President Woodrow Wilson's inauguration into office, not only banking on the added attention they would gain in the capital, but the larger national audience it would bring to the suffrage cause. After all, we weren't just marching because we enjoyed it. We had a reason to do so. Well, the morning of March 3rd came, and we got into our places in about the middle of the parade route, and we're getting all ready to go, when all of a sudden I noticed quite the commotion in the front of the parade. You see, the spectators had begun to fill into the parade route and begun to accost the women at the front and shoving and screaming at them and shouting quite vulgar words, which I won't repeat here for kind ears, but I'd begun to fear that the parade we had all worked so hard for wouldn't come to fruition. Well, that is until a representative of Nassau came up to me and my ladies and asked if we would be ready to march up the front of the parade. Well, I knew an opportunity when I saw one, and when I got my ladies up to the front, we were ready. As soon as I gave the count off, that is when it happened. The musical miracle. As soon as we started playing, the crowd parted, and we were on our way again. Not a single person got into the parade route when we were in front, and not a problem else occurred. And we were at the front the entire 7 miles of the parade route, marching along, leading our way, spouting our cause. That was really something. Well, afterwards we played tourist around town and even got to see Woodrow Wilson's presidential inauguration. Such a special time. And although the Missouri Ladies Military Band had to disband in 1915, never did get to play with such a talented and special group of musicians again. Oh, here I am sitting, talking your ear off again. Y'all have been such great listeners. Would you like a candy before you go?